Stigmatized property, the tragedy of a YouTuber. As the sun set, the lights of the cave flickered softly. In this place, where people come to relieve their daily stress, I was waiting for a friend, Sho. He is an aspiring YouTuber, and we were meeting here tonight to hear about his terrifying experience. As the clock struck 7, the door to the cave opened, and he walked in with a tired look on his face. Joe runs a YouTube channel called Show's Paranormal Adventures, which focuses on supernatural phenomena and other topics, providing humorous and entertaining videos. However, he filmed his latest video at a so-called haunted property in a rural town, a short distance from downtown Tokyo. Even he could not believe what was happening on the property, and he came to see me to share the horror. "Shu, are you okay?" I asked, looking into his tired face. He smiled slightly and began to speak in a grave voice. "No, actually. I want you to listen to what happened at the haunted mansion." He covered his face with his hands, took a deep breath, regained his composure, and continued. 2 weeks ago, I went to the haunted house. I got a lot of requests from my viewers. The place is... You may know it, but it's the Genjazeka house, rumored to be the place where the famous family was murdered. When I nodded, Shu began to talk in more detail. The Genjazeka house itself was old and the paint was peeling, giving it an atmosphere that no one would want to go near. Joe entered the house with a camera in one hand and a flashlight in the other. At first, it looked like a simple ruin, but the light of the flashlight captured countless peeling talismans, making the house even more eerie. Then, as night fell, something strange awaited him. At first it was normal. I was exploring with my camera rolling as usual. But as midnight approached, I suddenly heard the sound of the door opening by itself. Show's voice was shaking. I naturally leaned forward and was drawn into his story. Then I turned the camera. There was no one on the other side of the door, but there was a cold wind blowing into the room. It wasn't just a wind, it felt like someone's hand pushing me on the back. Shu closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. Then, as I walked down the hall, I heard a child's laughter. It felt incredibly cold, and the camera recorded that sound as well. I felt a chill, but I continued to listen to Shu's story. The child's voice changed to the sound of a toy piano. I followed the sound and found a single old, stuffed animal sitting there all by itself. It was as if someone was inviting me there. Shu continued, trembling. The moment I reached for the old stuffed animal, the camera suddenly turned off. I quickly shined a flashlight on it, and it felt as if the eyes of the stuffed animal were staring right at me. I asked again, worried, "So what happened?" Honestly, I wanted to run away, but I stubbornly stayed there, trying to turn the camera back on. Then I heard a soft whisper from behind me. "Get out!" Joe's expression was so serious that I gasped. It was as if the fear he felt was flowing into me. My heart began to beat faster. "So?" Joe shook his head. By that time, I had already desperately left the house, relying only on my flashlight. I just ran as fast as I could without looking back. What about the camera? When I checked it later, the recorded footage was full of noise, and there was no sound of children's voices or whispers. But that feeling, I'll never forget those eyes. The fear Shu spoke of spread as if it enveloped me, and in the silence, the lights in the store seemed even more eerie. "Has anything changed since then?" I asked. "That's it." Shu's voice became even lower. "Strange things have been happening since I came home. I hear someone whispering in the middle of the night. Sometimes, I feel a presence." Ever since that day, his face was tired and scared. At that moment, the doorbell of the cave rang, and Shu instinctively turned around. We were speechless for a moment. "Shu, you can stay with me tonight. You should get some sleep," I suggested gently. "Thank you." Shu looked at me with a deep look of gratitude, and for a moment the place was quiet. We surrendered to the depths of the night. While we thought about what to do next, Joe fell asleep on the sofa that night. But in the middle of the night, something strange happened again. A cold wind blew in from a corner of the room. As if to focus on Shu's sleeping face, the whole apartment shook slightly, as if to break the silence. Suddenly, Shu woke up with a groan. Again. I can hear whispers. At that moment, his cell phone rang and Anonymous appeared on the screen. Hesitantly, Shu picked up the phone, and a deep voice rang in my ear. Get out. The phone was hung up, and the room returned to a heavy silence. Fear covered our faces. The lights in the room flickered as if to warn us that a spiritual presence was approaching. Shu, let's investigate this house. If we don't find out the truth, you will be trapped in this fear for the rest of your life. I decided and grabbed Shu's shoulders. Shu nodded deeply, and we decided to wait until dawn to begin our investigation. Looking back, this decision might have been wrong. The next day, I cut my work short and went to the Genjizeka house to meet Shu. The mansion was eerily quiet even in the daytime. When I opened the front door, a cold wind greeted me. Shu grabbed a flashlight, and I prepared my camera. Let's go and find the truth, I said, gathering my courage. The air around us grew heavier with each step down the hallway. Suddenly, a child's laughter echoed from behind us. Not again, Shu muttered. At that moment, the camera caught something unusual. Shadows appeared and disappeared on the screen like ghosts. My heart pounded so hard that I thought it might explode. And I let out an involuntary scream. That's it, it's been recorded, but our joy didn't last long. The shadows gradually became clearer, and a faint figure appeared in them. Let's run, Shu, I shouted, grabbing Shu's hand and running towards the exit. But a sudden cold wind pushed us back and the door slammed shut.
I won't let you go.
A low whisper echoed in my ears again. Shu's face turned pale, and I trembled with fear. As we ran frantically down the corridor, looking for an exit, shadows began to dance at the edge of our vision. Look! Shu pointed to an old mirror that reflected our shadows.
Get out.
The moment the voice echoed again, the shadow in the mirror became a real threat and approached us. Get a grip, Shu, I shouted and braced myself. But Shu's eyes were filled with fear, and he couldn't move. The shadow in the mirror materialized and reached out to us. At that moment, a sharp pain ran through my head and my consciousness faltered. I won't let you go. The whispering voice echoed in my ears again, and my vision went dark. When I woke up, we were lying on the kitchen floor of my house. Not knowing how we got back, the clock said 2 a.m. In the eerie silence, Shu mumbled, shaking, I don't want to go back. A few days later, a video of his exploration of Genjizeka house was uploaded to Shu's YouTube channel. However, the video ended up being full of noise, and he couldn't see or hear the ghosts, so the number of viewers didn't increase. After that, Shu was attacked by strange phenomena several times. But he never went near the Genjizeka house again. Our friendship was not the same as before. Shu's anxiety and fatigue increased day by day, and he posted less frequently on his YouTube channel. Viewers noticed his change and left worried comments. One day, Shu contacted me and we decided to meet again. He seemed even more exhausted and scared. I've had enough. This house won't let me go, Shu said with a shaking voice. I couldn't say anything to him and could only share his fear. The horror of that Genjizeka house was deeply engraved in both of our lives. Several weeks later, Shu disappeared. The police searched hard but found no clues. But the police gave me a small camera and asked me to check one thing. The camera was definitely Shu's, but it was found at the Genjizeka house. I felt something was wrong and was overcome with fear when I thought of Shu, who should have been afraid, and said, I don't want to go back. When I checked, I found a new video on the camera. It showed Shu going back to Genjizeka house. A shadow-like thing approached him from behind and gradually revealed its shape. It was as if he was being controlled against his will. When I saw the video, I was speechless. My whole body froze. Behind the camera, where Shu had disappeared, there was a darkness that we could not understand. After that, I also felt insecure, and my family introduced me to a person who is a clairvoyant. And I had him exorcise me. I have always regretted that I should have encouraged him to have an exorcism. I believed that Shu would return, so I had the camera and luggage. He left behind his room and the Genjizeka house exorcised. 3 years have passed, and Shu is still missing. Never think twice before approaching a property that has had an accident history. Thank you for watching.